Mariluz Cook here, joined by Ryan Pfeifer, Director of Strategic Communication for the UNC Bears. First off, congratulations on your new baby, Jonathan James. So you got quite a curveball thrown at you just a few weeks before your baby was born. Can you tell me what that was and how it affected you and your wife?
Yeah, definitely a big curveball. So got our 20-week ultrasound and did a whole gender reveal and all that. Thought it was a girl. That's what they said. And then he was measuring big at the time of that 20 weeks, so they just wanted to make sure he wasn't too big and didn't have to induce early or anything. So we had a 37-week ultrasound, and we go in, and it was kind of funny. My wife, at first, even before we knew if it was a boy or a girl, she's like, "Oh, it's a boy. It's a boy." Like, I don't know. I don't have a feeling yet. And then when we had the gender reveal, she was shocked. She was wrong, which was funny. And then she told the ultrasound tech, if you told us it was a boy, I wouldn't be surprised or anything. And next thing you know, they go through, do all the measurements, and she was like, "Oh, let's just double check." She was like, "Yeah, that's definitely not a girl." And I mean, you're sitting there in masks, so you can't like see facial expressions as much. But I was just like sitting there, hands on my head, like mouth wide open. My wife kind of flew off the table, like, what? So it was crazy. And then I think one of the hardest things was like we had the nursery done and everything. Thankfully, we did not paint. Like
Oh, good.
that's a thankfully we did not paint, because I think that would have been the one thing I'd be like, oh, I got to paint again. But I think that was the hardest thing. We like both came home and were like, we had to redo a nursery and like didn't know where to start. But thankfully we had some friends who came over and like just started it with a couple old decorations, and we like knew where to go from there. And thankfully Target, TJ Maxx, and everywhere were awesome about taking the girl stuff back. And so
Good,
worked
good.
out.
Glad to hear that. So now this is your first baby. So what has been the best part of fatherhood for you?
Oof, a lot of things. It's just crazy seeing like a little human like that is you're and your wife's, and like he definitely is a mini me of me. Like my mom sent us a picture and he looks like me a lot, which is kind of crazy. Like I didn't think it. I think one of the funniest things was first couple of days we were home, I was just laying on the couch with him, and like he had his feet out, and I looked at my feet and his feet. I was like, oh wow, those are like my feet. It was so weird, like just long toes. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely my kid. Like, but it's just been really cool and like fun to see him grow. Like even he turns a month tomorrow, and just to see him like grow from just a little like still thinking he's in embryo to now, or into utero, and to now like he's finding his voice, wiggles around more, like just to see him grow too. Like he's definitely gotten longer and starting to get those little baby rolls. It's crazy to see how quick they grow.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, what has been the most difficult part of fatherhood for you?
Like that 2 o'clock time that he wants to eat and doesn't want to go to bed. Sometimes I'm like, that's the one that I struggle with the most. Like midnight or whatever, whenever he does that, or even at like 5 or 6 in the morning, I'm fine. But I don't know why that 2 o'clock one, I'm just really groggy, and it takes me a minute to wake up and like rock him back to sleep. Like wife and I have definitely figured out a system. She feeds him, and then I'll rock him back to sleep if needed or anything. But it takes me a minute to wake up at that 2 o'clock one. So, but
Oh, okay. So this is definitely a strange time, and a lot of us are really working more than we usually would be from home. So what has it been like balancing working from home during COVID and being a new father?
it definitely has been a balance. I would say I was glad I did take like the 2 weeks off and just focused on being a father. And I'm thankful for just the support of the staff at UNC too, letting me do that, really not asking for anything. So that was great to have. And now I think one of the biggest things just being an SID is you're going to work crazy hours no matter what. So we're used to that. And knowing, I need to go be a dad right now. Don't worry about work, figure it out. I somehow feel more productive, even though I have less sleep. I think I just like, you're more focused. You don't have the mindset of, oh, I could do this later. Like, I have time. Like, you're definitely more focused on the family side, or like, since I'm still working from home too, my wife will just text me and say, hey, can you come up from the basement and just rock JJ or help me with him? I need to go do something for a minute. So just finding that good balance has been nice to have, and really a nice part of the pandemic somehow has been able to work from home and be around him more, because right now I'd be at football practice and getting ready for that. And I was definitely a little worried about like traveling at first because he was going to be so young, and like just worried like, oh, like it's all my wife for the day or two that I'm gone to feed him and everything. So even though we have a lot of support here, I was still worried about that. So it's been good.
Good. I'm glad that you're able to experience that upside of the pandemic. But tell me, you're saying that you feel more productive during this time. So what is your best piece of advice for other SIDs who are working from home right now? What's your best piece of advice to keep fans engaged?
Oof. Um, shoot, that's a good question. I'd say just don't try to do too much. Find little things that you can do. Talking, if it's catching up with alumni, to put that out there. And don't worry about your to-do list. I think even not during a pandemic, we're never going to catch up with that. But just find little things that are going to work. And use your interns if you have them. I'd be nowhere without them. It's been nice to have school start up again, just to get interns going again and let them grow and make mistakes and teach them, because we all do that. So I think just use your resources well.
Absolutely. There you go. That's great advice. So, Ryan, thank you so much for your time today. And again, congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you. I appreciate it.